Welcome back to the Own Your Good podcast. I am so excited today to be joined by a friend and neighbor, Carrie Anderson. We've been in this neighborhood for a couple of years, and she was the first person to say hi and welcome, and it made my kids feel really welcome and appreciated. Today, I'm excited to talk to Carrie because even though I don't know her very well, I'm hoping that this conversation spurs that on a little bit better. We can become a little bit more familiar with each other. I've watched her over social media begin something and grow significantly at it. And so welcome, Carrie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you've begun over the last year and a half or so this process of drawing and painting.
Yes.
How did you decide that you wanted to do that? I mean, you're a parent. I'm guessing you have other hobbies and talents and things that you've pursued. How did you decide to start drawing?
Well, it's interesting. Growing up, I never took an art class. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I did in junior high, maybe. I don't remember it.
Yeah.
I remember doing one, like maybe not a digital class.
You have to have an art credit, so I'll take one.
Right. I'll take something.
Yeah.
It was just with my best friend, so let's do this. But it was nothing. It was like graphic design, mm-hmm. So it was nothing to do with what I enjoy doing now. So I don't remember ever doing anything like what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of an interesting story. I am so busy with my kids. I have 3 boys that play hockey, mm-hmm. and we travel all over the country and state, and my son's been to Sweden and just different places doing competitive sports, and my other daughter plays soccer. But all I did was drive them around.
Yeah.
That was my life, driving my kids to their practices. And there was a day that I actually went to Hobby Lobby, and I was standing in line. I got a craft or something, like bought something that somebody else had made.
Yeah.
And I was standing in line, and I saw a girl that I went to high school with. Uh-huh. And I didn't know her very well. I knew who she was, and I remembered her name, and I remembered her name was Nicole. And so I said hi, and she had an armful of like material and batting and things like that. And I said, "Oh, hi, Nicole, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, I am making curtains." It had something to do with curtains in her home. And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. I can't sew. I got a D- in sewing, and my mom about killed me."
You about broke the machine.
Yeah. And so I was like, "Oh, wow, that's awesome that you can do that." And she goes, "Yeah, I really like doing it." And then she turned to me and she said, "So what are your hobbies? What do you like to do?"
Yeah.
And I just stared at her with a blank face. And I was like, thinking quickly in my head, what are my hobbies? What are my hobbies? I drive my kids places. Yeah. I said, well, I really don't have a hobby. I said, I just drive. I'm in my car every night driving 45 minutes to an hour to get to hockey practice or soccer or whatever. And I said, well, I just drive my kids.
Yeah.
That's my hobby. And I felt so stupid because I'm like, okay, here she's got this beautiful talent of sewing, and here I have nothing.
And it's not necessarily that she was somebody that you were intimidated by in high school,
No.
or like you didn't even know who she is.
No,
It was just, oh shoot, I really don't have anything.
Yeah, I just could not believe it. And so I got in my car, and I was actually upset.
Yeah.
I was mad that I couldn't answer her question.
Yeah.
And so I drove home, and I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? And so I thought about it for a while, and I kept getting madder and madder, and sad, I guess, is the best word. Maybe not mad, but sad that I couldn't answer her question.
Yeah.
So I went home, and I probably fixed dinner.
Yeah.
Maybe. And then I thought, I am going to drive back to Hobby Lobby right now, and I'm going to figure out something that I can do.
Yeah.
And so I got in my car that same day that I saw Nicole in the store, and I drove back to Hobby Lobby. And I kind of laughed at myself because I was walking up and down the aisles of things you can choose to do.
Yeah.
And I was going, what can I do?
Yeah.
What am I good at? I don't know. So I happened to walk by the aisle that had drawing paper. And I was like, maybe I could draw something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I I picked up a pad of paper, and then I went over and to where the pencils and pens were, because I thought, I just have the number 2 pencil. Is there something specific I need? So I picked up a thing of pencils, and I checked out. And I had no idea what I was doing. I had only drawn a stick figure.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have to do anything for your kids, a lesson or anything, it's like the minimum that you can to get by.
Right. And I felt like I was a creative person. Like about 30 years ago, I would do toll painting with acrylics.
Yeah.
But that was like you had a pattern, you laid it on the wood, and it was kind of paint by numbers. You follow the lines. I had never gone out of the lines.
Yeah.
Never thought I could. It didn't even occur to me that, hey, maybe I could paint something from my head.
Right.
So it was just me, all alone. So I took my pad of paper and my pencils, and I went home. And I thought, okay, what can I draw? So I decided to look on YouTube.
Which is awesome for anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
Like anything you need.
When you were looking, did you think, what am I going to draw? Or did something pop? Like, I think I want to try...
Well, the first thing I thought of, this is what I typed in, how to draw a face.
Okay.
But why would I pick a face? Like, why didn't I say how to draw a tree?
Yeah.
Or how to draw a cat or something?
It's true. There are a lot of different things that you could draw. And there are a lot of people who are known specifically for landscapes or specifically for flowers or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for some reason, I picked a face.
Yeah.
So if you look on YouTube, how to draw a face popped up. And it was a tutorial, and so I was like, okay, I can follow this.
Yeah.
So I turned it on, and I was watching it, and I would draw a line and then pause the video until I got what I thought they were talking about.
Yeah.
And then I'd turn it back on, draw a little bit more, and I just kept going. And when I was done, I was like, oh my word, that kind of looks like a face.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
What kind of expectation did you have going into that?
I had zero expectation.
Okay, so you weren't thinking, I'm going to Bob Ross copy his happy trees.
Because I just thought, if I can draw something better than a stick figure, I'm doing really well.
Cool. So you had a reasonable expectation.
I had a reasonable expectation, but I was determined because I needed to answer Nicole's question.
Yeah.
I needed something.
Yeah.
And so, but I don't know why I picked a pad of paper and a pencil and not something different.
Right.
Because I had painted with acrylics before, like I said, but why did I skip the paint aisle?
There's cross stitching and there's yarn and there's all sorts of things there.
Yeah. And so I started working, and I showed my husband my first drawing. And he's like, well, you can kind of tell that's a face. Good job.
So were you nervous to show him this?
No,
or you were
because
totally accepting?
I told him what happened at Hobby Lobby, and so he's like, well, go for it, go ahead,
that's
try.
Cool.
And so the nose was totally out of proportion. Like it was so close to the chin that my mouth was small. And I mean, it did look like a person, but a very sketchy person. And so that was my first attempt.
Cool. Now, when you were done and he said, yeah, that kind of looks like a face.
Yeah.
You're like, I got to do this again tomorrow?
Yes.
Cool.
So, and I actually did something again that night.
Cool.
How to draw an eye, because my eyes were kind of skiwampus too.
Yeah.
So I thought, if I can break down the face and just draw one thing at a time, then maybe,
that's powerful.
Over time, I
can
get better.
One piece at a time will collectively improve.
Right.
Cool.
Right. And so that's how I got started.
Nice. So when you think, I want to go back, way back. When you were little, did you have any idea what you wanted to do? What you were good at?
No. I was good at sports.
Okay.
If there was a sport on TV, I'd be watching sports. I played soccer. I was a cheerleader. I loved any sport.
Physical action. So
I thought, I want to play soccer in college. And then I tore my ACL and that kind
Which happens for a lot of students.
Derailed some things.
Yeah.
And so I started college, and then I met my husband, and then I had to quit college so that I could make the money to put him through college.
Right.
So when I was little, though, my mom, I saw her paint with acrylics. And so when I was growing up, she would make Christmas ornaments for people out of
Nice.
wood and
Yeah.
painting. So for 19 years of my life, I helped my mom make what she called mailbox ornaments. So every year she'd make about 400
Wow.
mailbox ornaments, and we would help her. I got to paint the white base coat, because I was little or whatever.
Yeah.
She trusted me with that. So I watched her paint, and she taught me some things as I got older. And then after I got married, we moved to Nebraska. My husband was in dental school, and we didn't have any children. But what I really wanted to do when I was little was just be a mother.
Yeah.
I wasn't really career oriented.
Yeah, which is okay.
And I never felt super smart in school. I just struggled in school. And so I thought, hey, I'll be a mom, you know.
Yeah. I can
I
do
can
that.
do that. I can be smart that way, and,
Yeah.
and love these kids. And so when we moved to Nebraska and we still didn't have children, we had been trying for years to have children, then I asked my husband, I said, would you be okay if I bought myself a scroll saw and a sander so I could start painting little mailbox ornaments or whatever? So I started that, and after about 5 years, I just stopped. I don't know why. I mean, we eventually adopted our oldest, and so then I got busy with other things.
Yeah.
And so I did it like 30 years ago.
So I'm
but not
curious,
now.
when you were sitting there and Nicole asked you this question, did that pop into your head at all? The ornament painting?
No, not at all.
That wasn't even on the radar.
That wasn't on the radar because I hadn't thought about painting mailbox ornaments, or when we lived in Omaha that I did that. I didn't even think of that at all. I hadn't thought about painting for over 20 years.
Yeah. So it was definitely not that's what I
No.
do.
And so I'm almost 49 now, and I started this when I was almost 47. So about 2 years ago was my first time I went to Hobby Lobby to decide.
So just as a recap, you knew that you could love. You wanted to be a mother, and that was your one big goal. And career wasn't ever anything. Did you, in the workplace, with jobs that you had, did you feel like there was something that, I like this. This is cool. I could do this more.
No.
No jobs were that engaging to you.
No, I mean, I worked at a furniture store,
Yeah.
And I was customer service, and I knew I could talk to people. I knew I could, relate to people, and I always loved to talk to people and be engaging with people, but I never did something that I loved.
Gotcha.
Because my focus was on being a mother.
Yeah.
So trying to have children for 5 years and being so sad that just kind of took away, I don't know, hope of having a career that I actually loved.
Right. Anything that you could love. Like if the one thing that you want can't happen right now, why am I here? What am I doing? Yeah.
Right. And I guess that's what I had to figure out is, what can I be good at?
Yeah.
I really feel like I'm a good mother.
Yeah.
But what else can I be good at? What else for just my time? Because eventually the kids are going to grow up and go away.
So I'm curious, as your kids got older and as they got into sports and having to drive around for hockey and things, what did you do?
Truthfully, I would go to lunch with friends.
Okay.
Like, I liked socializing. And to fill my time during the day, it was just kind of nonsense stuff. I didn't have a purpose. I'd clean or do the laundry or whatever. But I never set a time aside for myself.
Gotcha.
So I really was
Yeah.
a lonely, lost soul.
Yeah.
But my youngest is 11 now, and so I did have a lot of time with kids at home still doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and this isn't at all to demean or make that a little part of life. That is a huge part of life.
Right, and that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
So you go out, you do what you want to do.
Right.
But I think the interesting thing comes in is there are things out there that you can do that you don't know you can do.
Yeah.
And so Nicole helped me. Like, there was an awakening in my brain. I can remember when I was drawing, and I felt like for the first time in a long time that my brain was awake.
Yeah. That definitely happens more as your kids get older. Because when they're little, they need everything from you.
Yes.
But at 11-ish, they can fix themselves food. They can basically do anything for themselves.
Right. And, we adopted our oldest, and then I was able to have 4 children after that. So with 5 kids running different areas, I didn't have a lot of time for me.
Sure.
I'd try and go help friends or whatever with what they needed, but I didn't take the time for myself.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of people that can connect to that. They can relate. They know this is something that I wanted to do, but now what?
Yeah.
Now what am I going to do? So you've picked up drawing.
Yes.
Have you ventured on to any other aspects of art, not just pencil and paper?
Yes. So about a year ago, I'd been drawing with pencil and paper for about a year. And about a year ago, I decided to try watercolor.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, because acrylics is what I had done.
Yeah.
So why try watercolor? But I happened to see a tutorial of this person doing this beautiful watercolor. And I was like, well, that looks easy.
Watercolors are amazing. They're so beautiful.
Yeah. And it wasn't easy, but it looked easy. So
Yeah.
I thought, I could do that.
If I could do pencils, I could do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I went back to Hobby Lobby and I bought special watercolor paper and watercolor paints.
Yeah.
And then again, went back to YouTube, how to watercolor.
Yeah.
And I found a lot of different things that you can do, different papers, different brushes, things like that to enhance what you do. So I started watercoloring flowers.
Yeah.
And it's grown from there. I've tried a few faces. Faces are hard to watercolor, but and a couple landscapes. But I really enjoy flowers. Flowers make me happy.
Yeah.
So
as you started this process, I think a lot of people are afraid of the cost.
Right.
Not just the emotional cost or what other people are going to say, oh, that's not very good, but I don't want to go spend $20 on paints that I don't know if I'm ever going to use again or more, right? Depending on what you're finding. But that's a worthy investment. That whatever that cost is, that pad of paper or the specific watercolor paper,
right.
That learning process has to cost something.
It does. And what you have to decide is that meal at McDonald's that's $20 for your kids. Could you actually make them macaroni and cheese at home for $1 and use that money to go buy your supplies?
Right.
And once you buy the supplies, you have to be willing to use them. People get scared and they're like, well, I don't want to waste this because this piece of watercolor paper was 50 cents.
Yeah.
And what if I mess it up?
Or the brush was $9 or whatever.
Right. And so the people are afraid. So my mom's friend, she asked me to help her. So I was like, okay, go buy this and this and this. And I gave her the basics to buy. And this was maybe, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And I asked her, I saw her 2 weeks ago, and I said, so have you started? And she goes, I haven't even started.
Oh, no.
And I was like, Nancy, you've got to start, It's the fear of starting, the fear of failure.
Yeah.
But guess what? We're going to fail.
Always.
There are things that I draw that I laugh at and I crumple up and I throw it in the garbage because I'm like, what in the world did I just do?
Yeah.
But then there are things like, oh my, that does look like a person.
Yeah.
So
I think that's interesting to point out that in the initial phase, it's just for yourself. You're just looking at this process, and the people that you live with, that you trust, will see it.
yeah.
What was that experience like? You said her name was Nancy. How did that conversation come up?
Well, Nancy's my mother's friend, so
Okay.
she's in her 70s, and she said, I used to draw, I used to paint, I think I could still do it.
Yeah.
But it's fear that grips people, that they are too afraid to try again or try for the first time.
Yeah.
And once you get over that fear and go, okay, this piece of paper is going to be a waste, or start on a regular piece of paper.
Right. So that you try it first.
Try it first. But the key, I think, is to try.
Yeah.
Because I was 46, almost 47, the first time I tried. What if I had tried 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Where would I be today?
Yeah.
And so one thing that I think is important is if you're going to draw or paint, have your own space. So don't do it on the kitchen table.
Yeah.
If you do it on the kitchen table, then you got to clean it up and you got to put it away.
And you'll
and
be
then
interrupted by somebody.
You won't get it out
Yeah.
again for weeks until you think you have time, 6 hours to get your stuff out. So for me, I have a little desk in our family room. And I have a house that has enough room to have my own art room.
Yeah.
I have an empty bedroom that we're not using. And so I told my husband, I said, I want to put the desk in there. And all the kids said, no, Mom, we like watching you paint. And so, yes, a corner of my family room is designated for painting.
Yeah.
And I sit with my kids as they're watching TV or on the Xbox, then I can be in the same room with them. And that's special for me.
Yeah.
Because even though they don't care what I'm doing, we can be together.
Right.
And I can see their beautiful faces.
Yeah. I'm curious, what was it like when you did talk with Nancy? So you have this, I have a track record. I've been doing this for a little while. Oh, you draw too and you paint. Why aren't you doing it now?
Yeah.
What happened inside when you started to talk to her about that?
Well, I felt sad because she's older. And so how much more time do you have to create?
Yeah.
And so I felt sad for her because of the fear that's still holding her back.
Yeah.
And so I said, come to my house, sit down with me and we'll do it. And she lives, an hour away, so it's not easy for her to come, but she follows me on my Instagram page and I see that she sees my stuff.
Yeah.
I see that she likes my stuff.
Yeah.
So why isn't she doing it herself?
Yeah.
How come she can't cross that bridge herself?
Did you feel like you had, aside from feeling that emotional, oh, this could be something good for you, did you feel a sort of rise again in that desire to create, a sort of excitement that, oh, here's somebody that knows what I feel like?
Yeah, because I've already not wasted time, but I haven't had the ability to do my craft, the thing that I love to do, because I didn't try.
Yeah.
You have to try something. And just like me, if you're in Hobby Lobby or wherever you go, look for something that maybe you don't even think you can do.
Yeah.
Because you can grow into something. And I've tried to teach people, my friends, I'm like, let's sit down and do this. And then they compare.
Right.
That is a big no-no for me.
Yeah.
Because comparing yourself to others is not healthy.
Yeah. How did you learn that? Because if people say that, and we know that, but we do it.
Right. We do it because I think we are taught to look at other people and judge, whether good or bad. They're really good at this, or I'm better at this. And instead of doing that, own yourself. Be happy with who you are, Don't compare yourself to other people or it will eat you alive. Yeah. I had to learn, like, even with my looks, like in high school, I was super fit and so athletic and muscly. And then I had kids and things have just fallen apart a little bit.
Kids.
But I had to learn that people have to like you for who you are.
Yeah.
And not worry about what people see, but who I am on the inside is so much more important to me than what I look like on the outside. And it's taken me years to learn that. But if people are going to be my friend, then they're going to be my friend because of the kind of person I am. If people are going to like my art, it's because they like what they see, not what I look like, but they like what they see.
Yeah.
And it can hopefully inspire people to start something on their own, whether it's fixing cars, writing poetry, whatever it is, start something. Don't sit there like I did, driving your kids around and not have anything for just you.
Yeah. Now I'm curious, do you think, because there's a time, we don't have much time with our kids in the scheme of life.
Right.
We get maybe 20
It's so
years.
sad. I want to keep them forever.
And so you can't say that was a waste of time. And you said that. I can't call it a waste of time because I was doing something that was valuable. I feel like I just lost it.
It's okay. I lose it all the time.
Times and seasons.
Yes.
Do you recognize that had you started art 15, 20 years ago, it might not have been the time or place to focus on it?
For sure. I recognize that. I do wish that I had taken the time, just even 15 minutes a day, for sanity for me.
Yeah.
But I'm so involved with my kids, And maybe they were like, Mom, please take your own time.
Yeah.
Like, give me some space.
Yeah.
But there is a time and a season. And right now is my season to rock it.
Yeah.
To love what I do, to wake up my brain. At 46 years old, my brain woke up. And I'm so thankful that I can do that now.
Yeah. When you look back at the things that you drew a year or two ago, what do you think?
Well, I was looking back at my page, my Instagram page a couple days ago, and I think it's like my second picture that I put on. And I was on an airplane. We were traveling to a hockey tournament. And I took my pad of paper and my pencil, and I was so excited to draw on the airplane because I thought, what if somebody sees me drawing? Like, I'm so cool. And so I had a picture of my little boy, Jacob, and I was drawing him. And so I took a screenshot of it, and I sent it to my husband. And I said, show Jacob that I just drew him. And Jacob's response was, I mean, he was 8 or 9 at this time, but his response was, now I know that I'm not my mom's favorite because this does not look anything like me. And I was crushed.
And he's the baby.
And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, it kind of looked like him, but it wasn't super duper great. But I was like, Jacob, you have just crushed my heart, you know. But he was being
8 years old.
8 years old, 9 years old, you know. And so I just laughed because I'm like, okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And then I told him to draw a picture of me, and it's like my favorite drawing.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing because it's so crazy.
Yeah, that's cool.
So.
Where do you think you'll be in 10 years drawing?
Oh, 10 years drawing. Well, I think my next thing that I would really like to enjoy doing, well, hopefully enjoy, is I'd like to learn how to take pictures of my art and put it on to make them bigger for wall art, not necessarily to sell, just so I can have some art hanging in my house.
Yeah.
I have little, 8x10s or 5x7s, and I've got a huge stack of art next to my desk. But I want to be able to blow it up and put it on my walls if I want. And I have no idea how to go about that.
Yeah.
So I thought that's what I want to start doing.
And that's a journey. That's not okay, I figured it out. I'm done.
Because I have a really nice camera. I have no idea how to use it.
Yeah.
And so my husband's like, I'll pay to have you learn how to use your camera.
Yeah.
And so that is what I would like to do. I would love to still paint. I would like to try more landscape, things like that. We have a cabin up at Bear Lake. And so I would like to hang my art all over at the cabin. I think that would be a cool thing. But so that's what I would like to do. I would like to just continue to get better and learn more. I watch a YouTube tutorial, at least one every day.
Wow. So you're serious about getting new skills?
Yes, because there are a couple days that I've missed, but I feel like my brain is still learning.
Yeah.
I'm still in that infant stage of what am I capable of?
Yeah.
And so I want to learn as much as I can. So once the kids go to bed, I'm laying in my bed and I just watch it on my phone.
Yeah.
And go, oh, that's how they do that. Oh, wow,
Cool.
I could try that. So.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
As people go through life, there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of anxiety of what could I be doing? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I in the right job? Did I marry the right person? When will we have kids? All of those life questions, life problems. And you've, I don't want to say made it through because you still have a ways to go.
Right.
Still kids at home and things like that. But what would you say to the teenager who is fit, who is into cheer or soccer or whatever, especially with this last year with the COVID pandemic and things?
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a
I
kid?
would say love yourself. Be kind to yourself because you will change. When I was young, I had the dream of the, cute yellow house with the white picket fence, the golden ticket, right?
Yeah.
That was what my hopes and dreams were for. And not everything worked out like I thought it would. Mm-hmm. But be merciful to yourself. It's okay for who you look like, what you look like, who you are, as long as you're progressing toward goodness.
Yeah.
Be thoughtful in your interactions with people. People usually love to talk about themselves unless they're super shy, but people want you to ask them questions. And so, a thing that I always try to remember is who, what, when, where, why.
Yeah.
So that's a conversation starter. Why are you doing this? Or who do you like? Or whatever it is. But to that teenager who has a lot going for them, good for you. Keep going, keep pushing. And for that teenager who struggles, I'm going to get emotional. Why am I getting emotional? Be kind to yourself. Love who you are, and just be the kind of person that people want to be around.
Yeah.
I'm not a very shy person, right? I like to talk, and I like to, make a fool of myself at a party.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with dancing by myself, or whatever. But to that shy little girl or little boy, just love yourself. It's okay. You're learning, you're growing. And if that white picket fence doesn't happen, something better will happen that's tailored just for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like everyone else. Just like your podcast, own your good. Own your good. You don't have to own somebody else's good, which is amazing. You have to own and be okay with what you can do, and don't worry about what others can do.
Yeah. That's awesome advice for teenagers. And my next question, I feel like the answer is going to be the same. For moms who are in the middle of their toddler and elementary school kids' years, or moms that are sending kids out, and they've been in that, they're absorbed with what their kids are doing.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to him or her, the parent that is
So
with their
busy.
kids all the time?
Yeah. I would say take some time for yourself. And then right as I said that, I heard another mom in my head or myself saying, I don't have time for myself. But you actually do. If you prioritize staying off Instagram or Facebook or during nap time for your little kids, you do have time. It's what you do with that time that's going to help you grow as a person.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of scrolling through Facebook for hours, I finally set a timer on my iPhone that says you only have, 30
Whatever
minutes
the
or
time
1
is,
hour
yeah.
a day to look at social media. How ridiculous is that?
Yeah.
I find my timer going off and going, wait, I haven't seen everything I think I need to see. But it's been so good for me to set that timer so I can say, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
You've been in la la land enough. Now get up and go do something.
Yeah.
And so I was that mom with Cheerios on the floor everywhere, spaghetti in the hair type of mom. But there is time in a day. Even when they're eating breakfast, their mouths are full.
Yeah.
They're chewing. You go sit in a rocking chair, and if you need to have a little cry, have a little cry.
Yeah.
But just take that time for yourself.
Awesome. Carrie, this has been an amazing conversation.
Oh, thanks.
I really appreciate you being willing to share what it's like to be an adult feeling like a kid, learning something new. Is there anything else that you wanted to share, anything else you want to say about art or life or pursuing what you love?
I don't know. I would just say don't get discouraged, because you will want, like I said before, you will want to compare yourself. And it's okay for what you are capable of. If that is a stick figure, if all you can do is draw a stick figure, you took 3 minutes out of your life to focus on a stick figure.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But I think just have compassion for your own feelings. Somebody told me one time, I was in a meeting, and they said, did you know about 10% of the people don't like you? And I was like, what in the world was that? And it hurt my feelings. I'm like, 10%. But then people are like, that's amazing. Only 10% don't like you, you know? And so I had to take that learning time to say, okay, 10% of people aren't going to like my art.
Yeah.
10% of people don't like my personality. Right. And you have to be okay with not everybody loving who you are.
Yeah.
But just be that kind of person that 90% of the people can love.
Yeah.
And will want to be around you because you're who you are. You're not afraid to be who you are. And even if that's crazy Carrie, you know, it's okay.
Yeah.
So just be gentle with your own tender feelings.
Yeah. That reminds me of something that I heard. Don't talk to yourself the way that you don't want other kids to talk to your kids.
Right?
Yeah.
When people talk mean about my kids, like Mama Bear comes out, like the hockey mom. You don't mess with hockey moms, you know. And because you know their worth.
Yeah.
You know the child's worth and their potential that they can do. And you're like, how dare they say that about my child? Well, guess what? You're saying it to yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
And who's saying, how dare you say that to yourself?
Yeah.
Take a look in the mirror and don't let yourself talk to in your head, because you wouldn't allow that to be said about your children or about someone you love.
Yeah.
Like, fight for yourself, fight for your mind to love who you are.
That is awesome. Because you are good.
Yeah.
You were not put here to screw up everything all the time.
Well, and people are going to offend you, right? People are going to say things that are really mean. Like, 10% of people don't like me. Come on. That was kind of mean.
Yeah. Why would you say that?
Why would you have to tell me that? Because I'm thinking I'm pretty friendly, outgoing, and I learned such a great lesson. You know what? That's right.
Yeah.
10% of people don't like me. Hooray! It's only 10%, you know.
Yeah, that is awesome.
But
well, Carrie, thanks so much for spending time with me today.
Yeah.
I hope that people understand how they can own their good based on your experiences, your examples, and your stories. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you bet.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you for joining me today on Own Your Good. I'd like to give a special thanks to Arches Audio. They are the ones that provided this awesome music. If you need anything for a project, I would go and check them out. They have a great selection of music and other services to help you with your creative projects. I hope that you found this valuable. If you enjoyed this episode and it did something for you, or you think somebody might benefit from it, please share this. It would mean a lot to me to help spread this positivity and this idea that people can change, improve, and ultimately own their good. I feel like I just lost it.